No one in the royal family will admit it, but leaked signs from within Buckingham Palace suggest that a top-secret investigation is quietly underway. At the center of this looming storm is none other than Queen Camilla. Outwardly, she still appears composed at official events, smiling politely beside King Charles. But behind the ancient stone walls of the palace, serious questions are being asked, and for the first time in years, someone seems determined to dig into the past of the woman once branded as the other woman. This investigation is not public. There are no press releases, no official meetings, and yet the silence is exactly what's fueling growing unease. And who is behind it? What is the real objective? Could it be linked to long-suppressed allegations from the days when Charles and Camilla carried on their secret affair? Or perhaps it involves old documents, private letters never released to the public that could shake the image of a queen to its core. The sources may still be scattered and unconfirmed. But one thing is certain, someone is turning the pages of Camilla's darkest chapters. And this time, it appears the situation is slipping beyond her control. The real question is, once the truth is dragged from the shadows, will the crown she spent her life reaching for be strong enough to survive what comes next? A gloomy afternoon in Wiltshire. The first winds of the season seem to carry with them the breath of a distant past. At Mill House, the quiet and solid mansion of Queen Camilla, a place she once used as a refuge from the noise of the palace, a silent investigation was underway. No one in the village knew, and certainly no one in the royal family suspected, that this very place would become the epicenter of a royal earthquake. Because deep inside that mansion, hidden behind what appeared to be an innocuous garage, a small steel door had been discovered, and behind it, a secret room. A room where every trace pointed to one familiar name, Diana. Yellowed letters tied with silk ribbons, diaries with soft yet anguished handwriting. Vivid fragments of memory, never before revealed, all belonged to Princess Diana, the woman who remains an unyielding symbol of the British monarchy. And now, more than 2 decades after that fateful night in Paris, those very words were once again igniting the flames of controversy. Not just intimate emotions, but details never disclosed about a broken marriage, about wounds kept hidden, about the silent war between two women, Diana and Camilla, that the world thought had long ended. The first question arose: how did Diana's extremely personal belongings end up deep inside Camilla's private residence? Why were they not found at Kensington Palace, once Diana's sanctuary? Could this be a deliberate act of concealment, an effort to control the narrative of history? Or was it evidence of something far darker? A plan designed to bury Diana's memory forever. Within hours of the leak, global media erupted. The hashtag Justice for Diana flooded social networks. Newspapers that once praised Camilla as the one who healed the wounds of King Charles III now questioned her morality and integrity. In London, outside Buckingham Palace, hundreds gathered with candles, carrying photos of Diana and banners demanding the truth. Many wept as excerpts from the diary were released. I know they won't leave me alone, but I will write everything down. One day, and if I am no longer here, these words will speak for me. Those words, like a prophecy, have now become a real nightmare for the royal family, especially for Camilla, who is now being thrust into the spotlight as the one who concealed the memories of a woman the public has never forgotten. The incident touched not only the hearts of the British people, but also triggered a chain reaction of consequences. Royal advisors immediately convened an emergency meeting. Clarence House refused to comment. Princes William and Harry Diana's sons remained suspiciously silent, making the public even more curious about their roles in this unfolding storm. Did they know? Could this be the hidden reason behind their estranged relationship? And if so, who revealed the location of the secret room? Many believe this could not be a coincidence. A hidden room, securely locked, absent from the original blueprints of Mill House, a large and sensitive collection of documents carefully preserved. If this were an accident, it was a little too perfect. Conversely, if it was orchestrated, then whoever was behind it must have had the power time, and motive strong enough to sustain it for more than 2 decades. More questions kept piling up. Did Diana foresee that one day the truth would be unearthed? Were those writings her protective charm left behind? And could the appearance of these documents, just as Camilla's public image is faltering, be a message from the past? Because it was Diana herself who once said in that famous interview, "There were three of us in this marriage." And now, with the Shah Mahal, with Camilla crowned queen, firmly seated beside King Charles III, the secrets of that three-person era are reawakening, as if history itself were demanding justice for the woman who was once so deeply wounded. What do you think about this revelation? Is it a cunningly crafted plot to bring down Camilla, or just a cruel twist of fate? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Type 1 if you believe this was a deliberately hidden secret all along, or 0 if you think this was just a coincidence, albeit a bitter one. And remember, but in the British royal family, nothing is ever truly accidental. There is only the truth waiting to be unearthed. It all began with a seemingly harmless detail in a financial report submitted to the Royal Audit Committee in early 2025. A vague, unclear footnote about non-routine maintenance expenses in Wiltshire raised eyebrows among experts on royal budgeting. Wiltshire, the location of Ray Mill House, the only private residence owned by Queen Camilla. That irregularity was like a speck of dust falling on the already clouded glass of the royal institution, revealing cracks no one had noticed before. And from there, a quiet investigation was launched, leading to the old garage tucked behind Camilla's rose garden. Ray Mill House is no stranger to the media, but it has long been a blind spot for royal oversight bodies. Camilla purchased the estate in 1995, shortly after her divorce from Andrew Parker Bowles. Many believe she chose the property simply to retreat from the public eye during a delicate time, when her relationship with Prince Charles was causing a media frenzy. But according to newly revealed documents, Ray Mill was not just a romantic hideaway for a woman once vilified by the entire nation. It was a fortress impenetrable, without royal staff stationed there, without security cameras installed by Clarence House, and most crucially, without any audit authority granted access to its internal spending records. Among the dozens of royal-owned properties, Ray Mill House was the only one effectively outside the jurisdiction of the monarchy. It was not listed among the assets overseen by Queen Elizabeth II, nor was it bound by any regulations under the sovereign grant. This meant whatever happened inside Ray Mill, no one knew and no one was allowed to know. So why did a sudden legal notice force investigators from the Royal Archives Office to visit Ray Mill in secret? In March of this year, the answer came from an insider who had worked in the Buckingham Palace archives for 27 years. This individual confirmed that certain documents marked royal personal, restricted access, which had been sealed during Queen Elizabeth II's reign, were removed from the archive in 2020, precisely when King Charles began relocating to Clarence House due to declining health. Even more notably, the order authorizing the temporary removal of the documents had been signed by Camilla, who at the time was still the Duchess of Cornwall. This revelation sent shockwaves through the inner circles of the monarchy. Royal historians understand that there are only two reasons for a document labeled restricted to be removed from archival storage, either for eventual public release or for destruction. But the files in question were never slated for disclosure. They belonged to one of the most tumultuous periods in royal history, from the marital breakdown between Charles and Diana to the time of the princess's death in a car crash in Paris. Included were previously unreleased letters, internal audio recordings, and most notably the diary of an unnamed individual believed to have served in Diana's private quarters before she left Kensington Palace. Ray Mill had, by all indications, become a living vault for memories no one wanted unearthed. The garage behind the main residence had been renovated in 2017, equipped with a fingerprint lock system not connected to the internet and outside the scope of national security networks. Inside, alongside a few vintage cars, there was a small underground compartment accessible only by a mechanical code, and it was here that investigators discovered an old oak chest sealed with red wax. No label, no markings. But according to the leaked investigative report, inside the chest were handwritten letters, several cassette tapes, and a sketch portrait of Princess Diana dressed in black, a depiction never seen before. The question that immediately arose was, why did Camilla choose Ray Mill to store such sensitive materials? Was it because it was the only place where she had absolute control, free from oversight or the need for permission? Or was it that Camilla herself had orchestrated the transfer of the documents, fearing that one day the truth might resurface and jeopardize her standing? As queen, another theory put forth by observers, could Raymil House have once been a command center, where Camilla wielded influence over the monarchy's political chessboard? That from this very location, she quietly directed moves that accelerated the divorce proceedings between Charles and Diana. Or worse, that Raymil was where evidence that the public had every right to know was systematically destroyed. The silence from Buckingham Palace only deepened the growing suspicions. They refused to comment on the investigation and adamantly denied any legal activity at Raymil. However, reporters stationed near the estate revealed that for several consecutive weeks, trucks carrying wooden materials and storage equipment had been seen entering and leaving the premises. One witness even claimed to have seen a man in white gloves in a black suit, appearing to be a high-level royal security officer, accompanying Camilla into the garage just a day before the investigators arrived. All these details only added to the mystery surrounding Ray Mill. No one truly knows what lies inside, nor can anyone verify whether the documents found there genuinely came from the royal archives. But one undeniable fact remains: it was precisely Ray Mill's status outside of oversight that made it the ideal location for any conspiracy, whether to conceal historical truths or to construct a new narrative about Camilla's role in the royal power transition. Could it be that Ray Mill was never just a sanctuary, but rather a secret doorway, opening into a dark chapter of the British royal family where truth, deceit, and power intersect? Was Camilla's choice a calculated act of self-protection against past accusations, or irrefutable evidence of a deeper intervention than we ever imagined? And if what was hidden at Ray Mill truly represents the final missing piece in the story of Princess Diana, is Camilla prepared to face the consequences, not only legal ones, but also the harsh judgment from the entire United Kingdom? Ray Mill House, once considered Camilla's most peaceful refuge, has now become the hottest flashpoint on the royal map. And this is only the beginning. What truly made royal advisors go pale had nothing to do with brooches or blurry photographs from palace hallway cameras. It was an old wooden door, concealed behind a heavy velvet curtain in the north basement of Kensington Palace. A nameless room, absent from any architectural plans, the kind of place even the longest-serving staff would lower their voices to speak about. And in that dust-covered space lost to time, an old wooden chest was found, its lid secured by a rusted brass lock, as if no one had dared to open it for decades. No royal insignia, no markings of origin. But when the lock was broken open with a specialized tool, the entire room seemed to hold its breath. Inside was not gold or antiques, but letters, diaries, and handwritten notes, all belonging to Princess Diana. Each yellowed page was carefully folded, wrapped in lace cloth, and sealed with blue silk ribbon. This method of preservation was no accident. It bore the touch of a woman who was not only meticulous, but also forewarned. Diana had written down her most private thoughts, not to be read while she lived, but neither to be destroyed. Could it be she wanted the truth to one day come to light? The first line sent chills down the reader's spine. I see what no longer belongs to me. Even while I still live here, I am only a shadow. The words trembled, unpolished unlike her official statements. They were raw, at times chaotic, mirroring Diana's own emotional state during those suffocating years of marriage, trapped between royal duty and a broken heart. Diana wrote of sleepless nights when she heard Charles's footsteps in the hallway, followed by silence as he entered Camilla's room, the woman she never named, but bitterly referred to as the third, or the woman always between us. There were sections where she stopped writing mid-sentence, as if the pain was too great to continue. Stains from tears had blurred the ink on some pages, irrefutable evidence of a shattered heart. One letter, addressed to an unnamed friend, held her confession, "I used to think I was beautiful enough to keep his heart." But it turns out beauty means nothing against a memory I can never erase. In a diary entry dated Christmas 1993, she spoke of complete isolation. Even the servants avoid my gaze. I am no longer a princess. I am just a woman unloved. The more one reads, the deeper they are submerged into Diana's world, a place where glamour and titles could never mask the coldness of a broken marriage. These confessions were not official memos, nor political language, nor royal rhetoric. They were the quiet voice of a betrayed wife, a mother afraid that her pain might leave lasting scars on her children. Particularly haunting is a passage written in a small notebook, where she expressed her fear that her sons would grow up with hatred. "I beg God that William and Harry never see their father the way I once did. What I fear most is that hatred will pass from me to them. Please, if I am no longer here, teach them to forgive." No one could read those lines without feeling their heart clenched. These writings are not merely historical evidence. They are emotional legacies, something that cannot be fabricated. Diana did not write to attack, nor to accuse anyone with hostile words. Instead, she left behind a tear-soaked portrait of silent pain, stretched over a decade in a palace of gold. She did not weep like a victim, but quietly recorded each wound so that the world would later understand being a princess did not equate to happiness. Some have compared these pages to the Diary of Anne Frank during wartime, a personal testimony behind walls of silence and power. And if that comparison holds true, then that chest is nothing short of an emotional bomb, detonated after more than 2 decades of concealment. No one in the royal family wants to acknowledge the existence of that chest. No one wants to read aloud what Diana wrote in the dark. Because if revealed, it would force the entire monarchy to confront questions that have never been answered. Why did the most beloved woman in Britain die in loneliness? Why was she isolated to the point of hiding even her emotions inside a rotting wooden chest? And above all, do Diana's words compel us to re-examine everything we thought we knew about her marriage to Charles? Perhaps the most important question remains: do Diana's words in her diaries make you feel more deeply the pain she endured in her marriage to Charles? If the answer is yes, then that wooden chest contains not just the past, it is challenging the present and future of the British royal family. And perhaps that was exactly what Diana intended to leave behind for posterity, not blame, but truth, raw and undeniable. Yet just as all eyes remained focused on Prince William's silence and King Charles's unusually restrained demeanor, another bomb unexpectedly exploded. While conducting a routine review of the security system and inventory of stored items at Clarence House, royal police accidentally discovered an old wooden chest lying quietly in a corner of Camilla's garage, a space thought to contain only worthless items, from old furniture to dusty cardboard boxes. But that chest was no ordinary object. Inside it was an entire haunted world of memories, documents believed to belong to Princess Diana, including handwritten diaries, drafts of unsent letters, and even outlines of her unfinished plans, all bearing a disturbingly intimate mark. A pressing question immediately arose in the minds of the public and investigators alike. How could such extremely sensitive documents, believed to have vanished after Diana's controversial death, suddenly appear in Camilla's personal domain? Were they hidden intentionally, forgotten, or was there a deeper, covert plan now beginning to surface? The biggest suspicion was this truly a coincidence, or the result of a carefully orchestrated sequence of actions meant to conceal or perhaps expose the truth? Several initial theories quickly emerged. Perhaps after Diana's sudden death in 99, but amid the chaos of clearing out her apartment in Kensington Palace, these personal items were either accidentally or deliberately removed and ended up among the anonymous possessions scattered across royal residences. It's also possible that someone close to Diana, maybe a former aide, a housekeeper, or even a member of the royal family, decided to hide them in the least expected place, Camilla's own home. A quiet act of revenge or a way to protect Diana's final secrets from the world's prying eyes. But whether accidental or intentional, The location of the discovery is what truly caused an uproar, none other than the private space of the woman once seen as the third party, the cause of Diana's tragedy. And that fact casts an even darker shadow over everything. Camilla's initial response did nothing to ease suspicions. According to palace sources, she was deeply shocked when informed of the discovery. In the first 24 hours, Camilla made no statement, refused all media questions, and even canceled a series of public events she had been scheduled to attend. Her silence from someone usually composed in front of the press suddenly appeared more suspicious than ever. She did not deny, did not justify, and showed no clear emotion, and only a sudden, chilling retreat as if she were trying to escape the truth rather than confront it. This only further fueled the public's curiosity and suspicion. Many began to ask, did Camilla truly know nothing about the chest? Could a woman who had lived more than 2 decades in royal residences be completely unaware of such a highly sensitive object hidden right in her own garage? Some believe she was genuinely surprised. They argue that Camilla had no reason to keep documents that, if discovered, could only damage her reputation and position. These people believe the chest might have been placed there a very long time ago, possibly even before Camilla officially moved into Clarence's house, and that over the years, it simply went unnoticed. A forgotten corner, lost in the maze of the past. But another group, not a small one, viewed the situation with a colder eye. They raised questions if Camilla knew. Why did she stay silent? Had she read what was inside? Had she ever used it as a quiet political weapon within the royal family? Or on the contrary, had she once intended to destroy it, but never got the chance? It is precisely this ambiguity that created a true storm. Royal experts began reopening the files on the relationship between Diana and Camilla, on the invisible battles and the psychological wounds that stretched over decades. Many argued that if there were any place suspicious enough for those documents to surface, it would be Camilla's home. Not because she necessarily hid them, but because the painful history between two women who once loved the same man, Charles, was too deep, too complex, and too full of contradiction to rule out any theory. The question lingered in everyone's minds, like a sharp needle. Did Camilla know about the existence of the chest from the beginning? Or was she truly blindsided by a past she thought had been buried forever? No one has a clear answer. But one thing is certain, Camilla's silence only makes the truth more dangerous than ever. And now, as that woman once seen as the symbol of the shadow power in the Charles-Diana love story is forced to face the past in its rawest form, the entire nation of Britain is asking how much longer can Camilla remain silent. Memory never dies. It only waits for a chance to return, a journalist wrote in The Guardian, and the people of the United Kingdom understand that chest in the garage might be the beginning of a reckoning, even more haunting than Diana's tragedy itself. Under the heavy atmosphere enveloping Buckingham Palace, as the final images of Diana and the long-hidden diaries re-emerge like a blade cutting deep into the heart of the nation, another crisis, silent but fierce, is unfolding at Highgrove, the retreat of King Charles III. Charles has almost entirely avoided Camilla. For 3 consecutive days, he locked himself in his study, refusing all personal contact even with the woman who had once been the center of his life. Not a single word of direct reproach, but his silence. His eyes filled with anger and avoidance, said more than 100 accusations. He ordered the Royal Advisory Team to submit a detailed written report on how documents related to Princess Diana had been hidden, who knew about it, and who gave the order to suppress them. Charles no longer wanted to hear any more excuses. He wanted paperwork. He wanted proof. And above all, he wanted a way out. His anger was not simply from being put in a difficult position before the public, but from a deeper sense of betrayal within his own family. A part of him still held a special place for Diana, the woman with whom he had created the 2 sons he loved dearly. Now, with her final words deliberately buried and silenced, Charles could not help but feel that once again, the truth about Diana had been forcibly erased, this time, under the guise of protecting the monarchy, in which Camilla now wielded no small influence. At the same time, at Adelaide Cottage in Montecito, the two brothers William and Harry could no longer remain silent. William, in pain and anger, was stunned to learn that his mother's documents, her private diaries, personal notes, and final reflections had been hidden away for over 2 decades. He could not comprehend why the Spencer family, and especially he and Harry, had never been informed of their existence. As heir to the throne, William felt his faith in the system deeply shaken. His mother had not only been isolated in life, but even after her death, her final words were still being silenced. As for Harry, who had always claimed to be the keeper of Diana's memory, his reaction was more direct. In a private conversation with a close journalist in the Outspoken, he emphasized memory should never be buried. The truth is never as dangerous as trying to hide it. While he did not name Camilla directly, the criticism was unmistakable. For Harry, anyone involved in suppressing Diana's voice was an enemy of transparency. And Camilla, who had consistently avoided mentioning Diana's name in front of her husband's sons, was, in Harry's mind, the most heavily suspected figure. As news of Princess Diana's buried writings spread, the entire United Kingdom seemed to catch fire once more. At the gates of Kensington Palace, long lines of people gathered to lay flowers, candles, and handwritten notes just like on that fateful day in 1997. On social media, hashtags such as #JusticeForDiana, #LetHerSpeak, and #TruthAboutThePrincess were everywhere. Major media outlets from the BBC, The Guardian, to CNN and the New York Times all covered the story with a tone increasingly unfavorable to the British monarchy. Once again, images of Diana with her sorrowful yet vibrant eyes dominated global screens. But this time, she was no longer merely a symbol of a tragic life, but a silenced voice whose honor demanded restoration. Many among the public believed that the hiding of Diana's records for so many years was a historical crime, and that if the royal family had nothing to hide, they should make everything public. A wave of outrage surged as tens of thousands signed petitions demanding Buckingham Palace fully disclose the contents of the documents and identify who had ordered them to be hidden. Public scrutiny began focusing on Camilla, and there were even calls for her to relinquish her queen title if found to be involved. The Spencer family, Diana's lineage, did not remain on the sidelines. Charles Spencer, Diana's younger brother, was said to be deeply furious upon hearing the news. In a short but cutting statement, he said, "Our family was never informed of any sealed writings of Diana. This is a direct insult to my sister's memory, and we will be demanding a legal explanation from the relevant authorities." The Spencer family's lawyers issued formal letters to both Buckingham Palace and the Cabinet Office, requesting full access to all related records. They did not rule out the possibility of taking the matter to court, with the goal of protecting Diana's honor and spiritual legacy. As every side began to move the royal family, the two princes, the public, the media, and the Spencers, a larger question began to emerge. Would the mounting pressure from public opinion and key family figures be strong enough to force the royal family to reveal the whole truth? Or would they continue to choose silence, as they had done for over 25 years? This is no longer the story of a woman once titled princess, nor merely a private tragedy of a noble family. It is a confrontation between memory and power, between truth and the machinery of image preservation. And if that memory belongs to a woman once called the people's princess by the world, can the public remain silent once again? Or will they, those who mourned Diana in 1997, become the final force that compels the British monarchy to face the raw truth at last? Could this be the beginning of a spring of memory, or just another storm of public opinion, soon to be buried beneath the ancient stone walls of the palace? The answer perhaps lies only in the next responses of those involved and of ourselves. Though she has donned the title of queen through an official coronation, Camilla cannot escape the overwhelming shadow of the past, especially not the name that continues to linger like an unhealed wound in the public's heart, Diana. Day by day, Camilla's attempts to whitewash her image grow more desperate as documents, old footage, Diana's private letters, and testimonies from former aides are once again resurfaced through exhibitions, documentaries, and memorial campaigns that have lasted all year. Once again, Camilla is pulled back into the role of the villain in a tragic love story the world's admirers have never forgotten. She is seen as a symbol of betrayal, the woman who slipped into Charles and Diana's marriage with cold-blooded persistence. Though the British monarchy has tried to use time, media, and power to rebuild Camilla's image, the public has never truly forgiven. And now, as voice recordings, diary pages, and emotionally charged photographs of Diana flood social media once more, Camilla has become the target of a renewed and furious wave of criticism. In newly released materials marking the 27th anniversary of Diana's passing, her image reemerges as an irreplaceable symbol, a devoted mother, a woman betrayed, yet still radiating dignity, gentleness, and astonishing compassion. Footage of Diana holding the hands of HIV patients, embracing children in war zones, or beaming among ordinary people continues to stir the public's heart. The media keeps calling her the people's princess, a title no crown can contest. Meanwhile, Camilla, despite the velvet robes and crown upon her head, cannot shake the label of the other woman. Even as she smiles at diplomatic events, hands out charity awards, or speaks on women's rights, the whispers behind the scenes never stop. If not for Camilla, would Diana and Charles' marriage have fallen apart? The contrast between the two women is becoming increasingly stark and cruel. Diana is the embodiment of grace and empathy. Camilla, the symbol of scheming and a painful past. While Diana departed in tears and with the eternal love of millions, Camilla entered the palace through the same door she had once quietly nudged open in the shadows of an illicit affair. And for that reason, any present-day act of Camilla's is viewed through a lens of suspicion. Even when she shows affection toward Princess Catherine's children, the press still asks, is it genuine, or is it a new strategy to win public favor? Even seasoned royal commentators have to admit Camilla may sit on the throne, but she will always sit in the shadow of the one who is gone. What's more worrying is that these revelations have directly impacted Camilla's political and social credibility in her role as queen. Recent public opinion polls show her approval ratings plummeting, especially among younger demographics, a generation less bound by tradition, but highly sensitive to ethics and justice. On forums from Reddit to X, formerly Twitter, people are bluntly asking, can we accept a queen who was once the reason behind the collapse of the most iconic royal marriage of the 20th century? And that question, no matter how it is framed, circles around a single haunting obsession. Diana. Her legacy has not faded with time. It has become more vivid than ever, fueled by nostalgia and reverence. Diana entered history not through her title, but through the hearts she touched across the world. Meanwhile, the more Camilla tries to erase the past, the more that past comes back with greater clarity, as if there is an invisible law of justice. That history is never kind to those who once wounded a symbol. Amid the storm of public opinion, the people are left wondering, can Camilla ever change the way she is perceived, or will she forever remain a name associated with caution and pain? That question is not easily answered. Because while Diana has been canonized in the hearts of the people, Camilla is still struggling to find a role that was never truly hers. Beneath the pale yellow light filtering through the window of that old garage, people didn't just uncover a dust-covered trunk. They opened a gateway to memory, a place where Princess Diana's voice not only echoed but pierced through the long-standing silence carefully maintained by the royal family. After so many years of assumed concealment, after investigations closed with unanswered questions still lingering, Diana has reemerged. Not in body, but in voice through recordings, letters, and previously unrevealed confessions, altogether reigniting the flame of truth, burning away layers of artificial facades and palace theatrics. That old trunk is not simply a forgotten item in Camilla's storage space. It is a symbol of the struggle between past and present, between what has been buried and what is now rising. Its discovery not only caused shock due to its contents, but raised pressing questions about transparency within the royal family. Who hid it? Why was it found in Camilla's garage, the very woman whose name is tied to the greatest pain in Diana's life? And the most chilling question of all, could this be just the visible tip of an iceberg? One that, if fully uncovered, might shake the foundations of the monarchy to its very core. Yet in the middle of this storm, a flicker of hope emerges. What the trunk has brought forth, though controversial, is the most powerful reminder of the importance of honesty, compassion, and above all, the right to be heard, values that Princess Diana lived by and sacrificed for. Her legacy lies not in titles or dazzling public appearances. It lives in the way she touched millions of hearts, in the courage she had to speak the truth even when isolated, and now continues to live on through each word, each sound newly unearthed from the silent depths of that long-forgotten trunk. And what about you? Do you believe Camilla was completely unaware of the trunk's existence? Leave a comment with 1 if you suspect Camilla knew about it, or 0 if you believe she is entirely innocent. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated on every twist in the most shocking royal drama of the year. From the secret room in Camilla's garage, Diana's voice has risen once more, demanding the truth and reminding us of a princess who will never be forgotten. Could this secret change the royal family forever?